Damn, somebody needs some WD over there, buddy.
No, I know. You know how hard it is not to recline my chair while we're podcasting the whole time, just because it makes this wonderful noise.
Get a good ab workout sitting there, kids.
This guy's got everything accessible right next to him. He can reach out, turn on his faucet on his sink. He's leaning back in his chair.
Stop making callbacks to past episodes.
This guy is unbelievable.
It's inappropriate.
Cannot play with him. Cannot win with him. Cannot coach with him. Can't do it.
You playing to miss the game.
I mean, listen, we talking about practice. Not a game. Not a game. Not a game. We talking about practice.
Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier.
You are now locked in to the Clock Dodgers podcast.
Clock Dodgers Podcast.
Welcome to the Clock Dodgers podcast. I am your host, Neal. With me today is Adam, a.k.a. the other FF guy. What's up, Adam?
What up, Neal?
Also, for 2 episodes in a row now, we got Josh, a.k.a. JC Crocker. What's up, man?
I am here. Yeah.
No more calling out sick. And our guest today is CJ, a.k.a. at the Siege DFS. What's up, CJ?
What's going on, guys? How are you?
Welcome, man.
We're all good. Hey, I didn't want to slaughter the last name. Can you say it at the professional correct level?
Oh, Kaltenbach. It's fine.
Kaltenbach. There we go. So I just didn't want to slaughter it. So first things first, I always like to get into our guests first, CJ. So we'll start with you, man. You'll be the spotlight here for a second. You've accomplished a lot, obviously, in the world of daily fantasy sports. For those who don't know, you run a website, Arbour Pro. You've won a lot of money in DFS, money that I couldn't fathom at this point. I just wanted to kind of start with the fact that how much have you won, and how has it changed your like day-to-day life in that aspect?
Oh, God. I honestly would have to go check the numbers. It's not really something I keep an accurate track of, but that's a ton, obviously. Honestly, not a whole lot. I'm still kind of like the goofball I've always been. It's nice having money in the bank instead of not having it, but honestly, it really hasn't changed a whole lot. I just finished law school, so I had a ton of loans. So it's nice to get rid of a ton of those, obviously. So it's been good. I don't know. I'm not gonna be like, oh my God, it's changed my life like forever. And like, let's be real. If it was, I wouldn't be working like everyone else in the world, right? So it's been great, but it's not like the oh my God.
Right, I understand. You want to remain humble. I get it. No, just kidding. So you do have a regular career outside of DFS, correct?
Oh, hell no.
Okay.
Well, I run Arbour Pro. That is my job.
Right, that's your job. Okay, so Arbour Pro is your job. So let's talk about Arbour Pro then for a second. For those who just don't know, let's just say people are listening, they have no clue what it is. How would you describe Arbour Pro? Like, what is it? What would they be going there for? What is it that you've built there?
Yeah, so I think it's 2 things. I think the first thing is that on the DFS side, it's a small community of people that really care about each other's success. And, it's kind of like your local Slack group, I would say, except it's really well informed. Most of the guys in there have been subscribers for a while, kind of know what our process is. And it kind of is helpful when, let's say like I've had other days, like I have work to do, I hop in the chat and they're like, oh, CJ's 2 worst pitchers are on the mound because this and this, and it's really convenient to not have to do the research those days.
Right.
So that's always good to see. On the season-long side, we have basically some of the highest stakes players in the world. Nelson Sousa, Derek Pearson. I'm forgetting a whole bunch of others right now. And so we just provide season-long advice that's actually good. I don't want to trash the rest of the world, but let's just say that if you're putting it like anything in life, right? If you're doing it for $100,000 a year versus $100 a year, I'm going to go ahead and assume the person that's doing it for $100,000 a year knows more than the person doing it for $100 a year.
Right. That's fair. And
is better at it.
That's fair. So on the site, when someone signs up, what happens? Like, is it a chat based thing? Is it like what exactly is happening when they sign up?
Yeah. So we've got a whole bunch of things. I mean, first off, we have all of our ranking sets. Nelson's ranking sets are up there. My ranking sets are up there. Peter's ranking sets up there. So 3 sets of rankings. Nelson's fade list, which is not like your standard like 10th rounder to avoid. It's like guys going in rounds 1, 2, 3 that you should not be drafting. And it's amazing how many of those guys magically have injuries that show up. For example, Antonio Brown, been on our do not draft list all year, and shockingly, he's a total knucklehead. It comes out like months later after people have been drafted in the second round all year.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot of coincidences that maybe aren't so much coincidences on the fade list. So we have that. We've got podcasts, draftcasts. So like we do drafts as we go and talk about strategy. And we've got a chat room too. If you have questions, you can answer them in there. And then we've got the mentorship program that Nelson started this year, which I once again will say is drastically underpriced, but I got outvoted on the price, so be it.
So yeah, I mean that's a lot of cool features, and I know Josh kind of mentioned it before the podcast. What is the Susan mentorship? What's different between that and what you're was talking about just a second ago?
So like if you have a question like on a Monday night, let's just say you're setting waivers, you email him and go, hey, this is kind of my roster set, like who should I be making a priority in Fab, and he just responds to your email and just tells you basically like this is what I would do in your spot. So it's kind of super personalized attention instead of just like generic. Like most of the time in the chat, like we'll answer questions like that, but sometimes there's just so many, right? You just can't get them all of them. And he'll like give you a call, kind of a breakdown of strategy and how to go about the draft room and all that. So it's kind of just like I would call it a tutor for fantasy sports. I think that's a fair way to put it.
Very one-on-one type of stuff.
Yeah.
You probably got Josh sign up right now. Josh signs up for like everything.
If he wants to win, he should do it.
Josh is notorious, man.
Anytime
we bring up subscription, Josh's like, yeah, I got that. So, Josh has probably got this already too. I probably should be asking Josh, interviewing Josh about it. All right. So, I mean, we figured, on this episode, we know a little bit about you now. We figured obviously preseason, week 1 is something worth talking about. So we're going to go into that. We're going to jump into that. We could, be boring and just recap it one game after one game and just kind of drone on and on. But instead, we're going to do it the Clock Dodgers way, which we're going to mention, I think it's about 5 players that we have that we feel are relevant here that kind of stuck out either in a positive or a negative way. And we're going to kind of just discuss whether we trust them. So, we're kind of feeling, if we're feeling a lack of trust in this relationship, or if we're feeling good about them, we're going to discuss how we feel about them. And we can all attack these guys, or if you feel strong about one player over another and you just want to, jump in on that guy, however we want to do this. But we'll start with CJ, since you're the guest here today. We'll start with you. The first player is Steelers wide receiver James Washington. Do you trust James Washington, or do you have some relationship issues with him? You have some lack of trust here?
James Washington and I are divorced.
Already?
He is not coming back in my life. Now, I mean, if you want to call it divorce or I'm having an affair with his teammate, Dante Johnson, I think it can go either way. I just think Dante Johnson's the better player. And look, lots of wide receivers are going to burn the Tampa secondary this year. He will not be the first, and he will not be the last. I'm not going to get all up in arms because he had one big catch against that secondary. That's going to be an hourly occurrence on Red Zone this year. Look, there's another receiver running right by the Tampa secondary.
Right. All right. So you're out on him. You totally divorced this guy. You've already split. I don't know if you had a prenup or not. Does anyone here, Josh?
No, he took me for everything last year.
Took you for everything. Josh, Adam, do either one of you disagree in a major way with him here? Totally agree? How do you guys feel about it? Either one of you.
I completely agree.
You completely agree?
I mean, I'm going back to the camp reports that we've already heard. Dante Moncrief seems cemented as the wide receiver 2. Deontay Johnson seems to be competing for that wide receiver 3 role. And, yeah, like CJ said, I'm not going to get excited about one preseason performance against one of the worst pass defenses in the NFL and, their backups at that. So I think it's just it's preseason hype. I wasn't on him to begin with, and it's not going to change.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I think most people do. I think the people who are still, big-time believers are people who have just invested in him heavily, have talked him up heavily, and they don't want to let go yet. It's kind of like that guy that's talking about his girl so much. You're like, hey, man, I just can't let go of her now. I've already dug myself in this hole. The next one, Josh, I'll let you start on this one since you didn't say anything about James Washington. You're being hush-hush about that relationship. Bears running back Montgomery. Damn, Montgomery. How do we feel about him, man? Trust issues, or do you trust him?
Trust issues. I do not like the idea of a rookie running back coming in to play beside Tariq Cohen, who has shown us to be a very, very capable pass catcher. I think it's going to be very difficult for him to get more than 20 catches. So, that pedestrian level pass catch, he's going to have trouble getting any work in the passing game. I'm not sure what Mike Davis's role is there, but it just seems to me that David Montgomery has volume concerns.
I love that answer. CJ, do you disagree with this guy wholeheartedly? I know a lot of people right now are screaming at Josh.
I actually kind of thought I was going to be on the island here of not being a David Montgomery guy, but I'm with him.
We're all with
have a whole lot of concerns here, and it's really the Bears' offense in general. Like, the reports on Trubisky have been horrible. Like, in camp, you normally don't get bad reports on any player that you actually need to be good, right? So, like, if you actually are counting on the player to be good, like, for example, in Tampa, right? I'm a Jameis guy, but even I'll admit, there's no way anything negative about Jameis was ever coming out in camp.
Right?
They just need him to be good too much to be like, uh-oh, he's in trouble. And the fact that those reports are coming out of Chicago, it's like that offense wasn't even that dynamic last year. So if he isn't going to take a step, like, I think people are just giving too high expectations for the offense. So I'm with you on Montgomery.
I agree with both of you. I agree with both of you. Adam, you're our resident Chicago guy. Do you disagree with these guys?
No, I'm in lockstep. I feel the exact same way. Wow. I have not been drafting Montgomery at his ADP. I mean, now he's going in like the 4th round, and I think that Josh touched on it a bit, but I think people are underestimating the impact that someone like Tariq Cohen has on David Montgomery. Scott Barrett did a study on the value of targets versus the value of carries. And he found that for running backs, the value of a target is 2.47 times as valuable as a carry for PPR formats. Now, even with half PPR, you're still going to see almost 2 times as much value in a target that you're going to see in a carry. So I think that just losing those valuable touches alone is going to be impact enough on him to not have that ceiling that I would want in a player that I'm going to be drafting in the first 4 rounds. I mean, where he's going, I just think that there's so many other wide receivers in that range that I just feel super confident in that I'm never going to really reach on a player like Montgomery.
I got to admit, like, I did not expect this from you guys. I thought somebody for sure was going to go.
I like the wide receiver point. I wanted to echo that. Like, there are just so many talented receivers that, like, when I draft a player in the first 4 rounds, my question is there any way for me to be drafting this player in the top 18 picks next year? If the answer is no, I'm not drafting the player. Like, there's no road to where David Montgomery is a top 18 pick during draft season next year.
Right. Yeah, it's funny because even for me, I seen Matthew Berry had tweeted out the video of him scoring a touchdown last week, week 1 preseason, and he said, "Remind you of anyone?" I said, "Yeah, it reminds me of Tariq Cohen's backup." And, some people tried to come for my heads. Someone even said it was a silly take, and I'm like, all right, I mean, if that's where you want to go with this, but, like, I just didn't see a big deal about what I said, and I just think it's funny that we all disagreed with it.
I just think people are like way over projecting like the number of plays the Bears are going to run this year.
It's fair.
I don't know. I think Josh brought it up in a chat that we have, but I think it is very reminiscent of the hype behind Sony Michel last year and the impact that James White had on Sony Michel's ceiling. Like, I think David Montgomery is going to have a very similar sort of season in that he's going to lack that seasonal ceiling, but he'll have some boom games here or there where, when the Bears offense is clicking on all cylinders, I mean, we'll get to Mitchell Trubisky in a minute, but when they're clicking on all cylinders, they're able to have huge fantasy performances. So I think it's not outlandish that he'll have those boom weeks, but I think at the end of the season, he's going to end up being like an RB3.
The Sony Michel comp really kind of bugs me as a Pats fan. Like, he missed all of training camp. I kind of think that, like, if he had actually been around in training camp, we would have seen this earlier. And that kind of even goes with reports today that, like, Damian Harris has gotten, like, no work with the ones. And, this 3-way timeshare everyone was thinking about might be a little more 2-wayer than we thought.
Take that. I feel like Josh has an article coming about this, but...
I so do.
I know you do. Yes, I knew you did.
You know what? I'll just throw this out there then. Okay, so in the last 10 years, there have been 3 running backs who have had over 200 carries and fewer than 20 targets. One of them is Sony Michel. The other 2 are Alf Morris and LeGarrette Blount. And
I'll take the over on whatever receptions prop you want to give me right now. Over.
I don't think he gets over 2 a game. So 34, 32.
I mean, I think he can probably beat that number. I'm not uber confident. What did he have last year? Like 12?
Yeah,
he's gonna smash. He's gonna smash that. Like every reporter during camp is just like, oh, it's another swing pass to Sony Michel. It's another catch by Sony Michel. I think Tom Brady's 10 for 10 targeting him. He's the only player left that hasn't had an incompletion yet from Tom Brady in camp.
I just feel like we hear this stuff about, like, you know, Jordan Howard staying after and catching passes from the jugs machine, and Ronald Jones is eating salad and catching passes. And
what was the last time we got bad info from the Pats, though? Like, normally the info you get from the Pats is good. Like, when was the last time we got, like, really duped by, like, Pats reporters?
They do have great beat reporters.
They really do. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm a fan. Like, I've never gotten duped by them before. And I kind of think that, like, this is kind of real. Like, what news did we – I mean, this is kind of a sidetrack, but, like, what exactly assurances did we have that Damian Harris was going to be part of the rotation other than we all just assumed it?
No, I think he might just be depth. I don't know. I just think that it's going to be hard to get passes away from James White.
Sony Michel has squeezed his way into this. He's not on our list, so that's fair.
He does that.
he does squeeze his way.
I'm not a guy that was high on Sony, but I'm reconsidering after today. Like, maybe I need to go back and relook at the workload distribution I had, because it could just be way wrong.
We shall see. We shall see, guys. That was a nice little sidetrack there. I actually enjoyed that one. Josh getting in here, fighting against Sony. That was fun. All right. The next running back on our list here is Chiefs running back Darwin Thompson, another rookie running back who I've been saying I love for the longest. He balled out a little bit out there in the preseason, which is just preseason. But, Adam, let's start with you. Trust issues? Do you have trust issues like you did in Montgomery, or is this a different case here?
No, I'm beginning to trust Darwin Thompson more and more. And honestly, I was approaching the Chiefs' backfield in redraft a lot like most people approach New England year after year, which I think is interesting coming right after this Sony stuff. Because for years, New England has always been the backfield where, for whatever reason, the running back that's drafted last seems to be the one that produces the most fantasy points. And with regards to a high-powered Kansas City Chiefs offense, for me it was always in redraft, like, I want the one who's going to cost the least. And I think that this whole time, everyone's kind of had, I shouldn't say everyone, but there's a lot of people who have doubts over Damian Williams' ability to carry any sort of workload. Personally, I own Damian Williams in Dynasty and have felt that, for me, Kansas City Chiefs is just all about opportunity. I think that there are a ton of running backs that can be successful in that offense, and if somebody's getting touches, I want those touches. So in Dynasty, it's cheaper to own guys like Damian Williams and Carlos Hyde. In redraft, it's way cheaper to get Darwin Thompson. So he's one of my highest owned running backs in best ball, and he'll continue to be because he seems like an electric playmaker. He seems like a player who's going to run extremely hard. And if he gets the opportunity to have touches in that offense, it's wheels up.
Yeah, he was banging in there on week 1 there. CJ, trust issues or you trust him?
I trust him as an RB2. Like, I don't trust him. Like, I think people are like, oh, he's going to take Hyde's work. I would vehemently disagree with that take. But if you told me that, like, he's going to take most of the work people are projecting for Damian Williams, like, I would believe that. Like, I think Carlos Hyde's role is going to be like 10 to 12 touches, try to hammer in those ones by the goal line. I think that role for him is going to be pretty set. Like, the Kansas City offense is just so good, there's no way he can't perform well enough to keep that role. But I do think Damian Williams is the one that I just never have trusted, don't trust now, and I think Darwin Thompson's a better player than him right now.
Interesting.
Like, so I would think that, like, that's the workload that Darwin Thompson can get to easier.
So Damian Williams is your least trusted running back there. Adam, you agree? I mean, Josh, you agree? Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, it makes me very sad.
I feel like everyone loved Damian.
Everything was going so well for Damian Williams, and then the hamstring and other guys get worked in practice, and now it's just all up in the air. I mean, like, even Reed was coming out and saying, he's our starter, he's the guy. and now it's just 180.
Now it's just running back by committee. That's what it is. All right, so we all feel like we've kind of all agreed here so far, and every one of these guys. All right. Let's see. 49ers wide receiver Dante Pettis. Who feels the most strongly about this guy, one way or the other? Who wants to start? Because I'll
start. I own way too much of him in best ball, and I'm regretting everything, but I'm trying to continue to trust him, even though this is like the definition of trust issues.
Who did I tell you to get? Who did I tell you to get, Adam? And who did I tell you to trust in 49er land?
Yeah. All right, Mr. Debo. I hear you. I do own a fair amount of Debo too, so I don't feel that bad. I actually own a ton of GODwin too. I've just been, pounding that offense. But yeah, the Dante Pettis thing, I mean, to me, I think that I'm not the only one who is a little bit blindsided by the reports that he's not looking like he's going to be running with the ones, especially with how high he was going in best ball drafts. I mean, he was getting up into the 7th and sometimes 6th rounds. So I know that there were a lot of other people who also thought that he was going to be the wide receiver 1 there, but I think after the reports that have came out, it's kind of impossible not to have some sort of trust issues with this. I mean, It seems like San Francisco is trying to figure out what they have at receiver. I think really the only person that can really be trusted in that offense is George Kittle. And ultimately, though, I still really love their offense, so I don't mind buying pieces cheap. But Pettis hasn't really been that cheap, so I'm regretting what I've spent and probably not going to be buying him really unless his cost drops to like the double-digit rounds.
Interesting. CJ, you agree?
Am I the only one that thinks there's almost been too much negative press on Dante Pettis? Like, originally I was like, this is a little concerning, like the first couple of reports come out, and now I feel like it's a new one every day, and I'm like, isn't this just kind of overkill at this point? Or are they just really trying to get, like, the kid to, turn on the light bulb here? And opening day, he's going to be the wide receiver 1. And we're like, why did we believe all this nonsense? It was, like, every day. Yeah. Like, I have trust issues, but it's almost become, like, so negative that there's no possible way he could possibly be this bad.
It's a really good point. It does feel like one of those rare situations where it's, like, a coach trying to get into a player's head. Like, yeah, it's not certain he's going to be a wide receiver or a starting wide receiver on this team. Like, we're still trying to figure out what we have. Like, it really does sound like it's a motivating factor, especially when you look at, like, the players that are being talked up there are the rookies and the youngest players on the team. So, yeah, I think that there's definitely some truth to that.
I was a huge Trent Taylor guy. I was about ready to just start firing the 18th round, then he broke his foot. Like, right on cue. Like, literally right as I was driving to Illinois to start playing a ton of best balls and draft in the 18th round, he broke his foot. So I had to turn around and come back.
Josh, man, you agree? Like, is this one of those situations, man, where people keep saying your girl's cheating on you and it's not really happening? It might not be true?
I definitely have trust issues, but he showed us something last year, and I just have to weight that more than what we're hearing now. I think down the stretch last year in games where he actually got, like, over 50% of snaps, he had something like a 17% target share. And I don't think that's a fluke. I take that with more, I weight that heavier than camp news at this point.
Josh likes himself a fix-em-upper. Gotcha. All right, man. That's fine. The last one we're going to go to, we kind of mentioned him earlier. I'll let CJ start on this one because he felt passionate about it earlier. At least it seemed like you did. Bears QB, Mitchell Trubisky. Trust issues, or do you trust this man?
I obviously don't trust him, so if anybody wants to make the trust argument, you can go first.
I want to trust him.
I'll throw out the trust argument. All right.
There we go.
Here's my trust argument for him, because I think that Mitchell Trubisky is worthwhile, mostly in best ball, because I think that he's going to be extremely unpredictable. But last year, other than Patrick Mahomes, Mitchell Trubisky posts the most QB1 weeks. He has that insane ceiling. When things do click for him in that offense, they click in a really strong way. And that is going to be an offense that's going to run a lot of, air raid schemes. They're going to be looking to push the ball downfield. And if they can figure things out like they did last year, they will have those moments where he'll have these huge game-winning weeks, which for me at quarterback, that's all I'm trying to identify. I mean, the quarterback position is so deep anymore that all I want from my quarterback is the potential to win a week. And in, the late rounds where he's going as a QB2 or a QB3, especially in best ball, he just gives that elite ceiling that I think a lot of players in that range just don't offer.
I mean, first of all, QB3 in best ball should never be a thing. So we'll just eliminate that right now. Here's the problem with everything you just said, and I'll start with when things are right. Well, the problem is it's now week 2 of preseason, and they're already dumbing down the playbook. And we saw that they became really predictable in the second half, and they also weren't as effective in the second half, which, by the way, which is really all you care about in fantasy. It's the money weeks, the playoff weeks, right? Weeks 13, 14, 15, 16. Would you like your starting quarterback to be playing in Chicago when it's 15 degrees out with the wind blowing and during a week where you need him to perform well to make money? I certainly do not. Maybe he's a nice regular season quarterback, but that's not what I'm playing the game for. I'm playing here to win the money in the big playoff weeks. So he's really never going to be a guy I feel confident in December in Chicago, or Green Bay. So it's just like, why?
Listen, guys.
Why take on all the risk of him just being terrible? Because that's what he's been so far in his career, for the most part.
What I like about this right now in our trust issues segment here is that a lot of this seems like, guys that everyone was liking a week ago, then they hate them this week. Even the Bears as an offense, as a team, people were beating the drum as them like a Super Bowl team, and now we're all of a sudden like, their offense sucks, they're not that great, da-da-da. And it's like, I like how trust issues exposes how quickly we change and how
I gotta say, I hated all these guys before, so the good news is there's no consistency issues over here.
All right.
By the way, I think every single one of the guys we did, other than Mitchell Trubisky, may or may not have been on a fade list of ours.
Nice.
Just saying.
I'm saying Josh may have had that subscription. I'm just saying. No. He might have pulled them right off the fade list. No. All right. So listen. After that, I feel like we just did some good relationship counseling, guys. I feel like that was a good session for us. I feel more confident in my feelings now. I'm glad that we were all able to share our feelings with each other. So confident that I want to move on to our rankings that we do here, where we basically take a group of players, 3 players, and we rank them which way we like them best. This guy, that guy last. So feel free to jump in again, just like we did in the last segment. However you guys feel, if you feel strongly about something, jump right in. Otherwise, I'll just start calling names, and we can do it that way. So rank them. The first one, we'll let CJ go first, though, because he is our special guest today. The first group that we have, and we just rank them from your favorite to your least favorite. Wide receivers, Curtis Samuel, Sammy Watkins, and MVS in Green Bay.
Samuel is like 15 signs greater than the next one on that list.
Nice.
MVS or Watkins. I guess the rule is when in doubt, don't take a Packer. So I'll take Sammy Watkins over MVS.
So Samuel, Watkins, MVS. Does anyone considerably disagree here, or...
I just want to ask, will whoever the wide receiver 2 is in Green Bay, do you think they'll be relevant? Are you buying anybody there?
This is the offensive coordinator last year when he was with Tennessee that couldn't figure out that Derrick Henry was better than Deion Lewis. I really don't have – and he got a promotion. I'm really not exactly all too inspired by investing in this offense.
Okay.
Devontae Adams, baby. That's all it is.
You would have to think the teams in that division will just go, let's just triple cover him and make Aaron Rodgers throw to someone else. He's so stubborn, he'll just throw in the triple coverage.
We'll see. I agree with how you ranked them. Does anyone disagree with how you ranked them? Because I agree with that.
I have the exact same order as well. Although I do have Sammy and Curtis Samuel closer, which I'm sure CJ would lose his mind over. But I think that if Sammy can stay healthy, that just the power of the Kansas City offense, and also what he did in that offense when he did play and how often he was targeted in that offense, I think that he does present a lot of upside if he can stay on the field.
Sure, and if money starts falling from trees, well, I'll never have to work again.
So I don't invest in sports injury predictor.
Boo, Sammy Watkins. Boo, Sammy Watkins. All right, the next one, whoever feels more comfortable with this one, we're going to go Cooks, Edelman, GODwin. Anyone feel strongly?
I've been taking them just like they are right there. Cooks, Edelman, GODwin. I really like Cooks' second year with the Rams and the possibility of him just, getting past that first year with the team, maybe actually being able to show us what he can really do. And then I think Edelman is discounted too much it's injury concerns. But if you look at that offense and what they have now, I feel like Edelman has a big opportunity in front of him. So Cooks, Edelman, Godwin, just like that.
You know how bad I want to put Godwin in the front?
I have Godwin in the front. I have Godwin first. Does that make you feel good?
Yeah, it does make me feel good.
It's not particularly close.
Yeah.
I am.
What's your case for that?
All in on Team Godwin. Really good player. Offense is gonna just be throwing the whole time. He's really good. Was really happy to see that touchdown in preseason was a garbage bubble screen. Not going to get too much hype on that. So hopefully he doesn't keep scoring them. I'm a huge believer. I would have him way above the next two. Like I think I have him 10 or 12 spots apart. I actually was trying to pull up my rankings really quickly to see where I actually ranked. I just did a new 150. And so this is actually, I need to make a couple changes, but it's pretty up to date.
CJ's just my favorite person.
I have Godwin at number 27 overall. Edelman checks in next at 33, and that's probably a smidge high. And then I got Cooks at 38. My problem with Cooks is the route tree that he runs with the Rams. Like, it's a lot of deep stuff, and I'm just not really sure that it's ever going to be consistent. Like, he's obviously a way better player than Ted Ginn, but he just runs routes that are just so deep, it's hard to be consistent.
Okay, so this is interesting. So this is getting juicy. So you got Godwin first. Josh has Cooks first. You have Cooks last. So you guys are total opposites on this, on Godwin and Cooks.
I'm probably like the Godwin truther in the world. So like I'm probably the outlier there, but I just think.
So Josh, do you see any world where his Godwin over Cooks and Edelman comes to fruition?
I feel like Godwin has the upside of being a top 15 guy. I feel like that's
top
really
15. He's top 15 right now.
Oh
no way!
Yes,
but he's not even the number one on his team. How much volume is going to be there for him? I know that the Bucs throw a lot.
Have you seen their defense?
But hold on. Teams don't throw more because of bad defense. They throw more because they're good at throwing.
They throw more because they're in competitive games and they're down. And that's what Tampa Bay is either going to... Tampa Bay's options to win games are shootouts or lose. Those are the options. They're not going to win 14 to 10 games at any point during the season. So they're going to be they're not going to be running out the clock. They're not those situations just aren't going to be happening for this team. Like they're either going to be behind in throwing or in a one-score game in throwing. And also, by the way, they're very good at throwing, and they can't run block to save their lives. So they're going to throw. And they're going to throw some more. I mean, maybe I'm just the Tampa Bay Buccaneers champion over here, and that could be. But I just don't see a world in which, like, they're just not throwing all the time.
So if they're going to be throwing all the time, and this literally featured Edelman, do you think that Chris Godwin out-targets Julian Edelman, who personally I would actually rank the highest of these three myself?
I think there's enough competition in New England for targets that he doesn't. I think Godwin gets more targets just because I think Tampa Bay's like if we're talking target percentage, I think Edelman's target percentage would be higher, but I just think Tampa Bay is going to run just so many more pass plays that he's going to have more targets in the end.
Dang, all three of you guys are totally different in this one. I love it. Who put this one together, Josh? Good job, Josh.
Yeah, I think so.
Good job,
hey,
Josh.
CJ, what do you think about Galladay versus Godwin? I'm guessing you've got Godwin way ahead of Galladay.
Oh, I have Galladay well below all three of these
my guy. You're killing Josh right now. Josh is freaking out.
It's the Lions' offense. They're terrible. Their offensive play calling is stuck in like the 1980s.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Galladay's target share has the chance to be, north of 27%.
On 10 passes a game, that's not going to do a lot.
He's not going to throw 10 passes a game. Point taken, but
I get it. He's such a freak talent. You don't want to pass on him, but the offensive situation is just so bad. And again, that's an awful division too. It's just like you have to go outside to Green Bay and you have to go outside to Chicago. It's just like, eh.
Also, let me just run this idea by you. If Gurley is just diminished in some way, do you think that raises the ceiling for the Rams wide receivers?
No, because they're just going to use Darrell Henderson.
So you think they just plug another guy into the same role and keep it?
Yeah, like their offense is awesome. Like they don't really need to change anything. Like maybe they should get their tight end involved a little bit more with Everett this year. But like that's like the one complaint I would have, and it's like pretty minor.
I feel like that's what beat them in the Super Bowl, though, was just saying, okay, we're just going to do the thing we do. And
the problem is they couldn't do the thing they could do because they didn't have Todd Gurley. That's why they went out and traded 2 draft picks for Darrell Henderson, and they matched an offer sheet on Malcolm Brown. It's because they couldn't rely on C.J. Anderson as an option in the playoffs. That's what happened.
Oh, C.J. Anderson shade.
I think Sean McVay might want to evolve. I think he might want to show us something new.
He also now should also stop being a wuss in the playoffs. But
he needs to be more like John Gruden.
Sean McVay listens to this podcast, so I want you to know that.
I was going to say, I highly doubt he does, but I think he would have...
Damn, Shay on the Clock Dodgers podcast. He highly doubts he does.
I'm just being honest. I'm just saying, like, even if you know, God bless if it's true, but right, like, you never know. Maybe it just comes across his feed one day, or Twitter's a very mean place. Who the hell knows? But I think he would admit that his play calling in the playoffs was bad. It was bad. Like, you know why the Patriots didn't try to score? Because they knew the Rams had no chance of scoring basically at any point in the game. Like, I was never worried. It was like I was like, as soon as we score a touchdown, I was like, we win. It's over. Like, they might get one. Maybe. Like, they couldn't do anything because they didn't have a dynamic running game. So I wouldn't overreact if I'm the Rams. I just would make sure that my team's ready to go come January, February, instead of trying to win regular season games.
Just to make sure that our rankings help nobody here, I'll go Godwin, Cooks, Edelman, just to make sure we went every single way possible. So figure that out, listeners. All right. The next one and the last one that we have for the Rankums is Ronald Jones, Justice Hill, and Duke Johnson. Who hasn't gone first? Adam, have you gone first?
I don't think so. And this is actually the most fun one to me because I think I actually like these guys in reverse order of their ADP. I own the most Justice Hill, so I would say that if this is like a confidence ranking, I'm gonna rank Justice Hill the highest. I think he has the most opportunity of the three, which is kind of tough to say because I think Ronald Jones, I guess, would potentially have the most opportunity if he was able to seize it, but I don't see it happening. And Josh would probably argue that Duke Johnson does, so I'm sure this is going to be another fun, controversial one.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, I mean, for me, they go in reverse order of ADP. I have the most confidence in Justice Hill, then Duke Johnson, and then probably the least in Ronald Jones.
Yeah, I know all three of us love Justice Hill. I don't know how CJ feels about him, but I know Josh is not going to like that Duke Johnson go after Justice Hill. Are you?
I mean, I've got my ranking, dude. Is it my turn to go?
Go ahead.
Okay, so I would go Duke Johnson way ahead, and then Justice Hill, Ronald Jones. Duke Johnson has an RB1 season under his belt, and I don't see a lot of reason why that can't be the ceiling in Houston. He's had 50, 60, 70 targets every season that he's played. I'm sorry, but I expect the same thing to happen, especially if Kiki Kuti is not healthy. And then Justice Hill is the number 2 back, as I see it, in an offense that has more rushing volume than Mark Ingram can handle. So he's going to get opportunity, and I think he's going to make Mark Ingram look really slow. And then Ronald Jones is he's Ronald Jones.
Yeah.
I don't even.
So I agree with Josh on this one. I agree Duke, Justice Hill, Ronald Jones. I also agree with you on how highly you feel of Duke Johnson. I'm curious if CJ, Josh and me feel like Duke has RB1 potential this season. How do you feel about that?
So I would go Ronald Jones, Justice Hill, Duke Johnson.
Oh, man. This is awesome.
So
explain.
Let me first start with the Duke Johnson shade, because I think this is the part where I heard the trade, and I was like, oh, this is going to be great. Duke Johnson's going to get all this work. I load up my projections for Houston. I take out, Dante Foreman. I plug in Duke Johnson, and I try to give him 50, 60 catches. And I'm off by like 30. And I'm like, okay, let me shave off, 5 off Kuti, 5 off Fuller, 5 off Calkins. Okay, now I'm at like 40 catches. And I'm like, really can't go any lower with any of these guys because they're all going to play. They're all established in the offense. And I can't just start cutting Lamar Miller like any farther than I already have cut him because it's Lamar Miller. Like, I'm already probably low on Lamar Miller touches. there really just wasn't anywhere for Duke Johnson to find the ceiling. Like, if Cootie, I guess, misses a month, okay, but Duke Johnson's hurt with a hamstring, and he's not practicing with the team, and he's not learning the playbook, and it could be week 4 or 5 before he figures out what the hell's going on. I think if they had wanted Duke Johnson so badly for the price they paid, like, they could have done that probably a month and a half ago or 2 months ago and had him there the whole time. So they didn't really want him that badly. It just Dante Foreman was so bad that they didn't have a choice, right? So I'm a little bit more skittish on the Duke Johnson opportunity. I'm not quite sure he's going to be on the field as much as people think he's going to be. Now, if Lamar Miller was to get hurt, obviously, sky's the limit. Ronald Jones, again, I think last year, this is one of the things Nelson's talked about on a lot of his podcast appearances, is that Ronald Jones was out of shape last year. Matter of fact, it actually was with Fantasy Mansion, and Ronald Jones' agent hated the talk so much he tried to get the video taken down for copyright infringement, which was obviously a bogus claim. He just didn't like what was being said about his client. You think he's going to do that if it wasn't true? Right?
Who did that?
It was Fantasy Mansion and Nelson. It was like May. And it's, if you go search his YouTube clips for Ronald Jones, I'm sure it will pop up.
Okay.
But he just was out of shape last year, didn't care. He was the youngest rookie in the NFL. And that matters, right? You're trying to be an adult. And you're a young kid coming out of L.A. at USC to the NFL into Tampa. Guess what? It's going to be a culture shock to you. Off-season reports have been much different. In shape, caring. New coaching staff, which I think is the big thing here. We all have this bias off of how bad and disappointment a bust he was last year. This coaching staff doesn't have that, right? They're coming in this with a clean slate. You know who's bad at football? Peyton Barber. He's bad at football. We all know this. He was the worst running back yards per carry by like every metric you can possibly imagine. So, and Ronald Jones has talent. So I think Ronald Jones is the one that has the most likely to hit an RB1 this year of the three. Justice Hill is a guy that I just haven't been on, and it's because I just haven't really been on the Baltimore offense. I just don't know if it's that good, and that division just isn't going to run a whole lot of plays. Like Cincinnati's going to try to be slow. Baltimore's going to try to play slow. Cleveland's going to try to play fast, but I'm not quite sure how they're going to be able to do that with their O-line issues. Pittsburgh will try to play decently fast. But again, same situation, In December, do I want, Justice Hill against the Cleveland Browns defense in windy Cleveland? Probably not. So give me the guy who's going to play in the nice warm weather, either in domes or Carolina or in Tampa Bay.
Oh, Ronald Jones. I wasn't expecting Ronald Jones to be listed first by anybody, but I guess I should have expected it from you, CJ. The way this Bucs thing has played out.
I was going to say, I'm waving a Tampa Bay Bucs flag over here, basically. I need to get one. That's basically, I'm all in on this Tampa team this year.
Yeah, you're talking about Tampa like Josh and I like to talk about Arizona, or I think the fantasy community at large seems to be talking about Arizona, but Tampa seems to be the other darling.
Tampa might run more plays in Arizona, and I'm high on Arizona. And I love Arizona. I think they might make the playoffs, but I think Tampa might run more plays than them.
Don't get these Kyle Murray fanboys going off on you, man. They're
chomping at the bit. I just said Arizona's going to make the playoffs. How could they get mad at me?
You said Tampa's going to run more plays. They're not hearing this. These two are not hearing this.
I mean, that's no disrespect to the number of plays. I love Cliff Kingsbury. If I hear one more time, by the way, that his offense doesn't work in the SEC, when he was at Texas A&M with Johnny Manziel and it was first in total rushing, passing, points scored, total yards, I don't really want to hear it. I keep hearing it, and it's not true, and it's driving me nuts. So I'm trying to spread the word. The offense worked in the SEC. It broke the SEC.
You saved yourself from these guys going crazy.
But CJ, he was like a 500 coach.
Oh, yeah, because he was at a school in the middle of nowhere in Texas and couldn't get any real talent to go there? And he still got him to 500? He should what's a bad idea? When lots of other better programs are trying to hire your guy as a head coach the moment you fire him. It's probably not a smart firing decision.
Probably not, kid. All right, that was actually it for the Rank'em. We don't have any other Rank'ems. That was it. So we've done Rank'ems. We're knocked out. All right, the only segment we really have left here is Foul or No Foul, which I'll explain in a second. Before we move on to that, I do want to say you threw some shade at AB earlier, man. I'm a Raider fan. I'm not cool with it.
Yep.
I'm not cool with it. I have to get this grievance off before we move on.
Okay. What? Other than being a total knucklehead, hasn't practiced. It says the new helmet's going to cost his vision, which is already making an excuse for decreased performance. I'm not exactly sure what the hell you would like. I'm not sure exactly what you're expecting.
Okay, so all of that aside, where do you think he ends up then? Where do you feel he is as a wide receiver in fantasy?
Below Chris Godwin?
What? Yeah, I can't do it. I can't agree with that, man. I love Godwin, but I can't do it. So you're saying where did you have Godwin at? 15?
I can tell you. I got to count.
Because you're saying AB's outside the top 15.
1, 2, 3.
Am I the only one hearing this? Does anyone else agree with this? There's no way AB.
I have Chris Godwin wide receiver 11.
I don't care if he wears a friggin' leather helmet.
Like, that's fine. It's just a ceiling projection.
I don't care if AB.
I don't think 85 catches for like. Let's see. Actually, let me pull him up.
Listen. You can give AB a leather helmet and he can run barefoot and he'll still outbeat Godwin.
Have you seen Derek Carr throw the football?
I have. I'm a believer.
He has been throwing the football to nobody, though. Like, all of these criticisms about Derek Carr.
It's exactly right.
All of these criticisms about Derek Carr about how far he throws the ball. We know that ADOT belongs to wide receivers. He's throwing the ball to nobody.
Tell him again.
There's no one around where he throws the football. It's a good point.
No, he's an accurate wide receiver. Derek Carr is an accurate wide receiver who has had no supporting cast. And we have already seen what guys like Tyreek Hill did for Alex Smith. We have even seen Andy Dalton have a top 5 season. Derek Carr has potential with weapons.
I think you are really smoking the homerism over there.
No, Josh isn't the homer. That's the crazy part.
You guys are nuts on Antonio Brown. Like, I have 180 best balls. I think I have one Antonio Brown who was a misclick.
Here's a good best ball question for you, CJ. Since you're so high on Godwin, what is your ownership like of someone like Chris Godwin? Because you're obviously much higher than the field on him, so I've got to assume it's got to be one of your highest owned, if not your highest owned wide receiver.
He's not yet. He will make it there.
Okay.
So who's above him? Who do you have more owned than him?
A lot of players, but that's because I realized I just was drafting him too low. Like, I didn't want to be the guy that was setting the market on Chris Godwin and pushing him up, I'll draft him in the 3rd round. So I didn't really want to be the trendsetter on Chris Godwin, but I've kind of just realized over the last couple of weeks, I just kind of need to have more exposure. I'm not at 20. I need to get to 28%. I'm probably at 20 now. So I'm just gonna have to keep drafting him for a while.
We'll revisit this, CJ. We'll revisit this. But
plant that flag, dude. I love it.
AB over Godwin, man. I'm telling you. We'll see. We'll see. I don't even think
That's a good hot take. I should bring that one on Twitter. I really like it. But Twitter right now is gonna be so down on Antonio Brown.
It's true.
I need a couple good news stories, and then I can come out and say that.
I mean, they're down on everything. Every poll I put up there, they're down. So don't worry.
But I know that's why I have to wait. I have to wait until he actually shows up to a practice with a legal approved helmet, and then we'll go from there.
I just had to stake my claim. I had to let it be known. I couldn't let that go. I had to wait till the end.
Just telling the truth, man. If you don't draft Antonio Brown this year, you're gonna feel really good about yourself.
Don't believe him, guys. All right, listen. So, all right, we finished spanking the rankings over here. So that means it's time for foul or no foul. CJ, since you're probably not familiar with foul or no foul, what this is, I only have 4 today. I'm gonna throw out statements that I have here. If you agree with the statement, there's no foul. It's all good. You agree with it. If you disagree with the statement, it's a foul. So you're throwing a penalty, a flag on the play, whatever. However you want to look at it, it's a foul. All right, so we'll let you start. The first statement we have here is Dak Prescott is worth $30+ million per season. Foul or no foul?
Can we get multiple red flags and yellow flags on the field for this one?
Big time foul.
I heard that report and I was like, what is his agent thinking? His agent should be begging him, knocking on his door, climbing through his chimney to make him sign that contract. It's Dak Prescott. You're not that good. What are you doing? Take the money and run.
Yeah, and I get that the QB, salary goes up every year, and so, we gotta.
You have to be good. He's not even. Is he better than Jimmy Garoppolo? Are we even that sure?
I don't know where we put him.
The guy can't. The guy's awful against his own defenses. He's literally dead last in every passing offensive category against his own defenses.
Yeah, he definitely shouldn't be in the top 10 paid. I wonder how Cowboy fans feel about it. I feel like they're just gonna be yeah, give him all the money.
I looked at Twitter and they seem to be hell no.
Oh yeah, I'm surprised.
I was surprised too, but I think it was a very responsible opinion from a fan base I didn't know could be that responsible.
They're usually not. They want to pay Cooper money, so they don't know what they're talking about. Anyway, Josh, foul or no foul?
I think he's doing the right thing to just try to negotiate it up. I imagine he's willing to sign something less than $40 million. But yeah, I think he should see what he can get.
Do you think he's worth it? Is the question.
Do I think he's worth $30 million? Yeah. I think Dak Prescott is a maybe not remarkable, but a good QB. I think he's gonna have a long career in the NFL, and he's worth $30 million.
Adam, you gonna back up your boy here?
No. No, I think it's a foul. I don't know if I'm as far down on Dak as CJ is, but it's just he was a third-round quarterback. He is more than they ever expected him to be, and that's great. But he isn't this player that you could just... I mean, look around the league. The teams that are paying quarterbacks the most money are not winning. It doesn't correlate. So when you have a player like Dak that was drafted low, you have to be trying to force that contract down as low as possible, even if you think he's a potential franchise quarterback. What I think is kind of interesting is I'm really, really curious if there's going to be some weird situation where Zeke and Dak team up and hold out together unless they both get the contracts that they want. I'd be intrigued to see that, because right now what we're seeing from NFL running backs is that they're really fighting to get their, fair share, if you will. But if they're just doing it by themselves, they're never really going to have any leverage. I'm super curious if there's any off chance that Zeke and Dak more or less work together towards getting, new contract agreements going into not necessarily this season, but going into next season, and see if there's any sort of correlation between, the two of them actually working together in some way.
If Zeke holds out this year, by the way, it doesn't play, I'm going to make all the money.
Lots of Tony Pollard?
My highest owned player by leaps and bounds.
Wow. Interesting. Yeah, that'd be interesting. That's an interesting thought, though, Adam, about Dak holding out with his running back on purpose. Didn't think about that. Be interesting. All right, the next one. I throw all kinds of questions in here. These are not all sports related. We'll let Josh go first on this one. When you place an order for food, Josh, that you're picking it up, there's no need to tip. Foul or no foul?
I tip just because you're gonna feel bad about not tipping. What's the $2 or $3? That's all it has to be. Is just a minimal, $2-3 tip. Everybody's happy. You walk away. It's fine.
You sound like you do it. You sound like you do that out of discomfort. You don't want to be judged.
It makes me
you did not sound like that was a moral conviction. You sounded very judged. I don't want to be judged for this.
Yeah, Neal heard the white guilt in your voice while you said it.
I heard it.
It makes me feel bad to give someone zero tip, even if all they're doing is putting my food in the bag and giving it to me. I can give them $1 or $2.
Okay.
Do you tip at McDonald's?
No, I don't.
They do the exact same thing that you're just stating.
Yeah,
they cook your food, they put it in a bag, and they hand it to you.
You're right. I don't do it. They don't. I guess it's because they don't expect it there, so I don't do it.
Expectation. Now we're getting into the root of it. It's all white guilt.
Here's the problem with the not tipping thing, right? So if it's a restaurant, it's normally the bartender that's doing it, and you're taking time away from the bartender, right? And working the bar, obviously, making people drinks is really profitable. So yeah, sign me up as the guy that tips a couple bucks.
No foul, no foul. And Adam's like, hey, I don't know about that. Adam's like, I don't tip Burger King, buddy.
Well, your wording was
I don't tip the soda maker.
Is it a requirement to tip? And I think it's not. Yeah. I also tip a lot of times when I pick up food, but I think tipping is one of the most untalked about things in our culture, where it's I don't understand how we came up with what jobs we tip and what jobs we don't. It blows my mind. I don't understand how, I get a haircut and I tip that person. That to me really makes sense, because I want them to do a really good job, and I feel like doing a good job deserves an extra reward. But there are so many things that we don't tip that doesn't make sense to me. that I don't know. For me, it's always been like this weird balancing act where like I'm super curious where even the concept of tipping started, and how we've socially decided which jobs we tip and which jobs we don't.
I need to do a podcast on tipping. We don't tip the mechanic when they fix our car really well.
Right?
That's because you never know if it's going to be done right. Then you have to go back.
That's true.
Let's be real.
That's true. Your shit starts leaking. You're like, yo, I want my tip back, bro. All right. So tipping's a gray area. It's a gray space for us here, fellas. Let's move on to number 3. TV shows should only be released as whole seasons at a time rather than once per week. Foul or no foul? CJ.
Oh, boy. I love binging shows, but like for network TV, that would just be impossible. So no foul on the play, but like if you're a streaming service, none of this week to week nonsense. You got to drop it all at once. I need to be able to binge it if I want to binge it.
I agree. I can't stand the week to week shit. Adam, Josh, either one of you like the suspense?
100% agree. Drop it all at once. Death to the networks. Netflix forever.
Yeah, there's nothing better than streaming shows. Last weekend, I binged through the newest season of How to Get Away with Murder, and it was glorious. Like,
no spoilers.
I wouldn't dare. It's such a good show that I don't know really anyone who watches, so I wouldn't dare spoil it for somebody because I've been trying to get people to watch this damn show for like 5 years. But yeah, I mean, that I don't know why. I might be the only one. I hope I'm not, but the feeling of like binge watching a series that you really enjoy, there's like nothing like it. It's like a roller coaster ride. Like I get so excited about it. It's silly, but I really do. I mean, I love that feeling of just like wanting to go into the next episode because the last one left you with, such an anxious excitement.
You get me to think about the Netflix binge I have going on as soon as we're done recording. Like I just gotta get right back to it.
I was hoping one of you were gonna sound like a serial killer. Like, yeah, I really like the suspense of waiting week to week for episodes. And I would assume that you also take cold showers. Let's move on to the last foul or no foul that we have. It's totally okay to knowingly drive off with a larger bag of food that you did not order at a fast food drive-thru. Foul or no foul? And this is not from experience. I did not do this today at Burger King. Foul or no foul?
It's no foul because they're just going to throw the food out anyways if you give it back to them.
Will they really?
So, yeah, they have
100% they have to.
Damn, savages. Yeah. Okay.
So, like, it's no foul. Like, for me, it's just like it's going to be wasted if it's not. Now, once they hand it to you, like, they can't use it again. So, like, it's no foul at that point. You may as well enjoy it instead of somebody else. Damn. Or, like, the trash can, I guess.
You just broke this whole question, man. You got it. You brought the law into this thing, man. I didn't know it was a legal thing. So I didn't commit a crime I didn't have to feel good about today. Damn it. I thought I did something.
You just got lucky for all the times they get your order wrong. Like, this is not like a bank error in your favor in Monopoly.
Yeah, I thought I was sticking it to the man. I thought it was Grand Theft Auto. I got 1 star above my head. I'm like, oh, yeah, baby. Stole that meal. I stole that Whopper, baby. And I didn't. That's cool. Have you guys all done this, or am I, like, the only one?
I don't think that's ever happened to me. Really? I would be afraid that I didn't want the crap they ordered.
Yeah, I was kind of pissed off about that. I really wanted my onion rings.
No, I am the asshole, though, that occasionally will go shopping and realize there was something on the bottom of my cart that I didn't check out after I already go through the self-checkout, and I just leave. Yeah. And that's a bad look.
Yeah.
I don't care about that.
It's definitely happened.
I don't know if you guys have Publix where you are, but there's a store here called Publix. It's a grocery chain. And the funniest thing is, like, whenever you're on the line, I'm sure they're just trained to do this, but, like, if you have something on the bottom of your cart, you'll hear the person who bags the stuff say to the person at the cashier, you got the water? And I'm like, hey, bro, I already told them the water's there. Like, made me feel like I'm trying to steal here. You got the water? They whisper, like, did you get the water? It's like, I heard you, bro, and I already told them. Like, I know, like, it probably happens so much that they have to do this, but, like, I just feel like, yo, you accusing me of stealing your fucking water, bro? Like, I already said it. Like, I don't know. Just bothers me a little bit. But
it's always the bagger that comes in, like, halfway through the order and then sees it. It's like,
yeah. Yeah, like literally I was there yesterday with my wife, and she had my son, and, like, she went, like, to go after him because he started to kind of run away, and then she came back, and she started like bagging the stuff. And he's like, "Are you with him?" And I'm like, "No." She just randomly walked up and started bagging my stuff, dude. Come on. Like, yeah, she's just a stranger.
With a baby in hand too.
Yeah. She's just bringing her kid in here to bag people's groceries. Don't worry about her. Like, what the hell, man? So yeah. All right. So you guys broke this legally. It's over. All right. Anyway, let's finish the show. This was a good one. Lots of debating. Lots of opposite takes. I really like this. CJ really mixed it up with us here, man. CJ, you did good, man. You did good. What we do, though, CJ, is when we close this episode out, we like to do what we call, like, show and tell, where if you have something, it could be a product, a podcast, music, books, philosophy, advice, whatever you want, that you want to kind of leave the audience with, something you just want to kind of show and tell, like, you know, back in elementary school, man, like you did in class, you couldn't wait for these days to show off your new toy or whatever it was. So if you want to go first, if you have something right on top of your...
No, I'll go last.
You'll go last? Okay. I'll let Josh go first. Josh, go first, show and tell. What do you want to tell us about today, man?
I have been watching this show called The Sinner on Netflix, and it's like so each season is like a different story, and it starts with a crime, and it looks like a really obvious slam dunk of a case, and then there's this detective that's in every season, and he like it ends up being different than what everybody thought it was. Nice. It's a great show.
It's on Netflix, you said?
Yeah.
Okay. What made you watch it? You're like, ooh, I want to be a sinner. Let's see what this is about.
Yeah, so like the sinner is that person that committed the crime, and it just looks like a horrible person. Obviously, they did it. They confessed. Gotcha. And then it's not what you think.
We'll have to check it out. It's got a lot of seasons for us to binge, right?
Just two. Two.
Okay. We'll take it. Adam, you got anything?
Yeah, kinda. This is like a weird one because I don't normally bring things like this, but this past week, I don't know if any of you guys saw, but Elon Musk revealed what he's been kind of hinting at for the last year or so, which is his new invention, if you will, the Neuralink, which he kind of talked about was going to be a way for like people to interface with technology better. And then he revealed it this week, and I don't know if anybody caught it because to me it really seemed like it was buried in the news cycle, but it's an implant where they cut open your skull and put a microchip in your brain.
That sounds
and
fun.
I don't know why no one cares because this is like some straight dystopian sci-fi stuff, but Elon Musk is doing it, so it seems like most people are really cool with the idea. But it freaks me out big time. So I just like to bring it out because I feel like it's something that I haven't even really seen discussed a lot on social media. And I'm just curious how many other people just kind of didn't even see this come out.
Yeah, conspiracy, man. They covered it up with the news, man. They didn't want you to catch it, man. They didn't want you to know about this.
I don't even know about the conspiracy route, but it legitimately is a microchip in your brain, which I don't think you have to be a conspiracy theorist to be a little freaked out by the idea.
No, it's crazy. I listened to a podcast called Wired to be Weird. I've had him. He's a neuroscientist, Ian. I've had him on the show a couple of times. He actually had an episode, I think it was like 2017, that he did like these 2 episodes on Neuralink, so that's when I heard a lot about it. But yeah, it's freaky stuff, man. It's freaky stuff. It's kind of cool, kind of freaky. I don't know. Elon Musk is a strange but fascinating dude. I want to believe everything he does is right, man. Like, his intentions seem right.
I mean, this is the same guy who was warning us about AI.
Yeah.
Like, saying that it is a detriment to humanity.
And he said we're already cyborgs.
Like, well, yeah, but, if you can't beat them, join them.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I don't know. Like, I have to laugh about it because to me it seems too dystopian and weird and freaky to me to, see what the possibility could be, because technology is one of those things that can become so ubiquitous to society that, like, you can get to a point where not having a piece of technology does not allow you to fully participate in society.
Yeah.
Which is what things like, credit cards or a cell phone or the internet have done to our society now.
I was just going to say,
the idea that something like that, 50 years down the road could become a more or less requirement to participate in society is kind of a really horrifying, like, Philip K. Dick-esque dystopian universe that I don't want to be a part of.
I hate to break it to you, Adam, but they'll line up for that bad boy like an iPhone, man.
Oh, they will.
They will line up for it. All right.
I gotta admit, I was doing a whole lot better before I heard that.
I'm so sorry.
That is legitimately like scary stuff.
It's really interesting that it's
not interesting. It's scary as hell.
It's scary as hell. That's what's interesting. Is it's scary as hell, but nobody's talking about it. And it's like it's not even a conspiracy theory. Like he's doing it. Like they.
Oh no, I meant conspiracy theory by they're trying to cover it up in the news with other stories.
Yeah, I hear you, but I just think that like that's to me the thing that's most alarming about it is like you don't have to be a conspiracy theory. There's no conspiracy. He came right out and is like, we want to put microchips in people's brains that allows them to interface with technology. And to me, it's like I don't want you to put anything inside me that might allow me to be controlled externally. That's literally like. I'll go off on a weird tangent, but the book series The Divergent, which turned into some really terrible movies in my opinion, but if you actually read the books, the first book is actually very much that exact scenario where kids are being microchipped, and then one day the microchips are turned on and they become basically soldiers, and it's very alarming. But yeah, I mean, the whole Elon Musk thing, it just it feels so weird because it's one of those things that to me, like I had heard about Neuralink more prior to them really announcing what it was than I feel like I have in the past week since they actually made the announcement of what it is. Like it feels like it used to be in the news cycle more than it is after they actually announce what it's going to be.
Well, Josh is being really quiet, so I think he may be subscribed to that as well already.
It says they have a sewing machine-like device capable of implanting very thin threads into the brain, and it has the potential to cure things like paralysis and dementia.
Yeah, it was developed by DARPA too, the machine that actually will do the implementation of it. And like if you see like the actual chip they're saying is smaller than like the joint on your index finger. Like it could literally fit on the little plate of your index finger. It's wild. I don't know, man.
And that's how they sell things to us. They tell us, oh yeah, it's good for your health. We can fix this and that. And then bam, ulterior motive. Yeah, it's scary. It's interesting. It's different. And we're freaking CJ out. So we're going to change the topic. Let's go to mine. My show and tell is actually a podcast. As I like to call them, a murder podcast. Adam doesn't like me calling them that. He likes it being called True Crime, which is what it's really called. But it's a podcast called Cold. I don't know how new or old it is, but I don't know how many seasons they have. I'm listening to season 1. There may be more seasons than that. I don't know. But I love those podcasts. Similar to the reasons why I like TV shows that I could binge them, and I love binging them. I can't, like I mentioned before, I can't do the week-to-week crap with these murder podcasts, as I call them. It drives me crazy. But these ones that I can binge because they already have the whole thing out, I love them. So Cold, if you're into true crime podcasts, you should go check it out. Now, CJ, I think we've given you enough time. I hope you have something for us.
Yeah, it's going to sound really lame, though, compared to, like, the last couple.
That's all right, man. It could be just a Bucks rant. It's all right. You can do that.
No. No. Can I use this time to complain about Antonio Brown? No. I'll do it.
And recording stop.
I'm not a huge like network TV guy, but I have to tell you, Blood and Treasure was really well done by CBS. 13 episodes, they're all out now. I kind of thought it was going to be a little more like less intense than it was, but it was absolutely awesome. Think like National Treasure, except like take out all the corny parts that are pointless and like actually like have a cool story with some guns and stuff. It's pretty cool.
That sounds dope. And what channel is it on?
It's on CBS. It's all 13 episodes are available online now.
I gotta check it out. Yeah, I don't really watch a lot of network TV shows either. I'm into Animal Kingdom. I don't know if anyone else watches Animal Kingdom besides me, but I love Animal Kingdom. It's network TV.
It's good to know they got one. They've got one fan in the world.
Yeah, it's good. It's good, just like Ronald Jones does. So that is all we have for today's episode. Basically, all I got from this is AB is better than GODwin, and Elon Musk is taking over the world. But before we go, CJ, I want to let everyone know where they can find you, where they can find the website, anything that you want to tell them to go to.
Yeah, at the Siege DFS, the company Twitter account's at Arbour Pro, arbourpro.com. If you got any questions, feel free to just shoot me a tweet. I'll see it. I can respond to it. Ramping up all our full season content. So just updating rankings, moving Duke Johnson down, moving Antonio Brown down.
So wrong. Worst decision you ever made in your life.
I'm really. I mean, Duke Johnson could come back to bite me. I could see it, but like in the best ball tournaments now, like it's like there's no reason to take 12th round. There's so many teams that have him like the 17th, 18th. Like I just gotta hope it works. The
AB can come back to frostbite you. Oh, boom, boom. Tss. Yeah, I get one of those every episode. Those are my favorites. Anyway, you can find Adam at the other FF guy. You can find Josh at JC Crocker, and you can find me at Clock Dodgers. That's it, guys. As always, be kind, be great, keep dodging.